Hey everyone, welcome to SF Garnish Music Production and the Garnish Music Network. My name is Justin Anchetta, and I'm going to get into Ableton Live 11 Suite today. But before I do that, I just want to let you know what we're talking about today is mixing and mastering and how to really set up templates and different ideas that can kind of help your workflow. A lot of the time when we're doing work, we have to kind of recreate dragging and dropping VSTs and plugins in. And you can actually have a session that's already set up. Once you have your mix done, you can just drop them into your mastering template and go from there. So let's get into this today. If you guys have any questions, you guys are welcome to comment. Please like and subscribe to us. We're going live on all of our channels, YouTube for Garnish Network, SF Garnish, Twitch, and Facebook pages. So please like and subscribe. Help us out by coming back on a 11 to 12 PST every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we're looking at Ableton here. And this is a session that I have organized where we have a track that has actually already kind of been mixed. And then we ended up adding a lot more low end, more grit to it. We had Lorenzo Gordon, Low Light, add in all of these tracks, and then I've kind of done a little bit of work to those. We're looking at session view right now, but everything's kind of in arrangement view, already laid out left to right because this is how this has been done here. The song's already organized pretty well. And we were just using different samples and operator instruments. Some tracks are frozen to preserve the VST plugins that he had down there in LA, and we were sharing through Splice. So just a heads up that there's really no way to know like the perfect mastering plugin that's just gonna, you turn it on and put it in and it will be perfect. There are a lot of tools out there that can analyze and do a decent job, but I would really encourage you to use your ear on a per song basis. If you have a style of music that you're consistently doing, maybe you can, set up a template for that specific style of music. But like I said, once you bring in your mastering tools, you're going to want to adjust them on a per song basis. So this is the first track that we had up here that was mixed by Oz Fritz, and then all of the extra tracks Lorenzo added, and then a couple more that I added. I just added the stand-up bass in here. And there's some extra instruments here. I think actually Lorenzo did some of these too. All right, so I'm gonna listen in here just for a little bit. I probably will start in a little ways so we can hear kind of the contrast of what was added. And then we're gonna talk about mastering tools, which will be on our mastering chain, right? Master chain right here. So let's go ahead and get into listening. All right, so that's a little bit of a test there of what you can do to kind of add in a beat. How the song used to sound was a lot smaller. I'm just gonna go ahead and solo this. Celebrate our differences, find our common ground. Celebrate everything now. Back to how it used to be. All right, so the beat is definitely bigger, adding in a lot of the low end here, and some select deep bass and kicks, and also snares. So to be really clear, what is the mixing phase and what is the mastering phase? A lot of these different sound groups online really kind of get things mixed up on gain staging and what that means. What is mixing? What is mastering? So let's just basically start with this, that we are still in a mixing phase because we added these extra tracks in and we're mixing them, right, compared to this previously mixed track, right? So each one of these, right, is we're changing the gain structures and comparing them, right? So negative 4.9 for this 808 top end. We're at -3 right here for the bass. And these can always change, but we're utilizing our ear. I currently have headphones on. It is in stereo, and I do like to mix with headphones, but generally I definitely A/B and mostly mix and master with monitors in a room, hopefully a room that's been treated. So one thing that we can get into here is, what is this bass and what do we have on it? So we've done a little bit of mixing already, which is adding in our compression, our utility for our gain, and then our EQ. And this is just a simple EQ. And we're going to get into a couple VSTs, popping down your side menu here. And I'm going to start off by going into plugins and just looking at what we have here. So I believe that there's a specific bass compression that I want to put on that is part of the Waves bundle. And we are in Waves right now. It's called H. Let's see if I can find it through the search. H compression. So one is stereo, one is mono. Our bass is going to always be in mono. All your low end you want in mono as much as you can, because otherwise you can get a lot of phasing issues with your mix. So we're doing a mix now, and we're just adding in this VST right here, which is this H compression. And we're just going to do an A/B listen. A lot of the mixing and mastering phase is doing A/B. It's going to keep your ear fresh at low volumes. You probably want to never go above that 86 dB level. I believe between 60 and 80, 85 dB is nice listening levels. Starting off at the lower side, so you don't. It's not about damaging your ear, but keeping your ear fresh for a longer period of time, so you can do more work. So mixing right now. This is with and without it. That's muting it. And it's on again here. Just listening to what's changing here. And what we can do is actually put a loop on of this part, so it'll just loop for you. So Command L once you select that area. Just checking out the needle of where things are It's definitely coming through a little bit stronger with on. And we have a lot of these extra EQs over here that we're not utilizing. I'm going to change my cue point just to kind of bring this a little bit tighter cue point. I like the numbers of like 4 to 6 Q generally, maybe even 3. Listen with the mix now. Celebrate our differences, find a common ground. Celebrate our differences, find a common ground. All right. So that's staying on because we have this right engaged. That's our mute or unmute, and this is to visually see it or not. It keeps popping up on my other screen, but there it is right there. When you get rid of it, it shows that it gets rid of right here with that tool function. And so because I increased the volume a little bit with this other compression, I can drop this in the mix a little more, about 2 dB. Now it's -5. Let's listen to the whole mix. Love is a mystery, water and star coming right through. Just dropping it by 1.5 dB. Differences, find a common ground. Celebrate our differences, find a common ground. Celebrate our differences, find a common ground. Celebrate our DAWs. Okay, so that's a little bit of mixing specifically on the low end of this new bass. And this is just generally getting into what is mixing, what is mastering, right? So we're in individual tracks, right? You're talking about gain structures, you're talking about effects and VST plugins, both in the box of Ableton and out external VSTs. So that's the mixing portion. I did mention stage gaining, and a lot of people have misinterpretations of that, but essentially it is following your volume, starting from your recording volume, and making sure that it's at a good hot signal, not peaking, and then following all of your gain structures. I have a utility here that's dropping in and out at certain moments. Even every compression and EQ is increasing and decreasing specific frequencies and changing your gain staging, right? So it's going from recording mode all the way to your out, which is your master volume here. Okay, and that is kind of following a specific channel stage gain staging. So let's go into mastering here. Once I get into these details, I'm also going to talk about saving specific templates as well around everything that we work on. And this is just to help us get back to specific things that we like on certain instruments individually or on a full master. So this has a lot of effects on it. It's all turned off right now. I have a utility over here. I'll just delete that. I also have these effects here of this Will Marshall effect. And okay, so my master is completely empty right now. Those are on there just kind of for fun that I was doing some effects previously, but it has nothing to do with mastering. Now mastering, you can use basic utility and EQ for mastering purposes. And I'll just get into things within the box of Ableton that comes with Ableton to start off, and then get into things that are more custom. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better the more custom it gets. You really have to understand what you're utilizing and for what reason. So right here, I brought in this 8-band EQ, and it has this basic shape here. And I'm just going to make sure that everything's flat. Taking those off, so it's 100% flat. Now, one thing that we can do with this basic 8-band EQ, notice it disappeared because I came off of the mastering channel. So make sure that you stay on there, otherwise it won't be there again, right? If I click on a different channel, it shows the effects of whatever channel I'm on. So here we are, and when I listen into this track, it should play and show me the analyzation of which frequencies are coming up. Right? So this is So notice how there are certain frequencies around 100. This is probably around 50 or 60. And you can also see in the bottom corner right here, wherever your mouse is, right, it's showing you that frequency. So you can literally just move your mouse around to where you see the peak points and get really a good in-the-box analyzation of what's going on. So here we are with that, the most broad way of looking at this. So definitely around 98 hertz. You got like a 7 dB higher than other places. And that low kick around 44 hertz. 460 is also kind of high around here. And it starts fading out kind of up in this upper register here. I personally wish that this showed more of the high end, but also with that said, when I did a ear test of my own ear, things above 16K, right, 16,000 hertz, it just starts sounding like a whistle to me, and it gets smaller and smaller until it disappears around 20,000 hertz. And that's why this kind of starts disappearing, is like they don't expect humans to hear it, so like why show it? But above 20,000 hertz, people can potentially, there's a theory around people feeling frequencies, hertz, up into the 30, overtones all the way up into the 50, 60, 70K, right? 70,000 hertz. So these overtones may be lost, especially when you convert to MP3, which a lot of people listen to these days. How they kind of dumb down these tracks from, averaging 50 to 60 megabytes down to averaging 3 or 4 megabytes is by cutting everything above 16,000 hertz, right? And that is there. And most people don't really hear the difference. However, you may feel a difference. And this is just kind of a theory on what music is doing when you listen to it and how you're listening to it, whether it be headphones or monitors or in your car, etc. So just something to consider. People that bounce down tracks, this is mastering techniques, right? So you can bounce down tracks. Let's just go ahead and do a little show of this. So if I wanted to bounce down a master of something, I would go from start to finish, pretend that's that. Command-Shift-R is render. And then I would make sure it's definitely not mono. And let's see here. And it's going to be master track. Make sure that that's there. And now notice how this is at 44.1. Okay. So essentially 44.1, you're pretty much going to listen. When you do a sample rate of 44.1, you're pretty much dumbing down the frequency to half of that. So half of 44.1 is about 22,000 hertz. That's above that 20,000 hertz listening realm, which is why CD quality has kind of been a standard, and it's been working out pretty well for most of us out there. Now, if people wanted to go up to a higher bouncing rate, 96, 176, 400, and then 192,000, right? Sample rate. It's pretty much half of whatever you put it to. So if I was at 96, then that means that half of that is, let's see, 48,000 hertz. You're going to hear up to 48,000 hertz of the overtones, okay? This is very, I would say, theoretical, and it's difficult to hear the difference, and you definitely have to have speakers that can manage that, right? If you had some 802 Nautilus speakers like Soul Graffiti Studios, this is something you want to kind of test out, is listening to higher sample rate conversions. So 176, etc. Now, remember, if you ever render at 192, but you record it at 44.1 or 48,000, you can't ever go up and gain more, right? It's just going to be kind of like a pretend higher. Once you record at a lower level or render at a lower level, it will never have that higher frequency possibility. So that's why people try and, get higher CPU and computer operations so that they can record at this 192 sample rate and not have too much lag time, etc. So really important to know some of the details of mastering, why you're bouncing at different rates here. A lot of people record at 96, right? Really high, or 48. And then at the very final phase, bring it to 44/100, which is a CD quality rate. Okay. So I'll just keep this at 48 for now. Well, I think I recorded at 44/1. So like I said, I can't ever go up. And I'll cancel this, but that would be just some tidbits of information in regard to mastering and your sample rate. All right, so we have a basic EQ that we brought in here. Now, this is pretty limited, like I said, because it's not showing this higher frequency. Let's get into some presets of mastering presets. Let's see here. Let's type in master. And so there's a couple different ones. In the utilities section, we have mixing and mastering, performance and DJ, mixing and mastering. So this wide and warm is one that I personally have enjoyed. It kind of just creates this wide and warm mix. When I drop this into my master chain, looks pretty simple here, right? But everything can expand out by clicking right here, and it shows more of your options. Now, freezing different ideas right here can also be a nice way to A/B different possibilities for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and minimize our EQ, and we'll just be working with this mastering chain wide and warm. We've expanded everything out so you can kind of see which frequencies are being popped up right here. Okay, that's around 1100, pretty wide Q point. All the way from 200 to like 10,000 is being raised just a little bit. We have our classical compression, and then we have our limiter at the end. Okay, if you ever want to change these EQs, we have our macro controls already listed here. This is actually a really good way to learn how to utilize mastering tools and different Ableton instruments, creating your own racks, etc., is by looking at other racks already created, such as this wide and warm master JA that we have here. So every time that I go and I move this, you're seeing which frequencies are being boosted. All right, you can also expand out your EQ to kind of see what it's sounding like. Sun in the east sky, help me fly. Feel the strength in the rays through your eyes. This is completely dry, how it used to sound. And with the mastering. Coming right through me. Celebrate our differences, find our common ground. Celebrate our differences, find our common ground. Celebrate our differences, find our common ground. Celebrate our differences. Bottles full and wine about my mind. So I'm noticing how much my limiter is engaging here. Now, if you push too many frequencies up and your limiter is being pushed down, it's really going to be squashing your track, for better and for worse. This is really where you have to use your ear, and I wouldn't be doing this through headphones. I'd be using my monitors, my mastering, mixing or mastering monitors to listen in here. I would compare on multiple different speakers, and depending on the song, I might want to crunch this up and really engage this limiter, right? Some songs actually do well with that. I personally love snares, really pushed and also limited at the same time. A big, strong compression. On an overall mix, you're gonna miss out on your dynamics, your low and high points, because essentially what you're doing is all of your softer moments are being pushed in volume, and your higher moments are being limited and kind of squashed down. And you can kind of see that structure while this engages right here. Okay, so let's listen in a little bit more.
celebrate our differences. Voices falling wide about my mind, an echoing time of print left behind. England's formed a rhyme, reading out the time. Let us please be kind, it's history rewrite.
So now what we can do is create a new variation, right? And this is kind of like boosting everything. Right click, rename. This is essentially saying boost all. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a bass boost a little more and dropping the mids to just nothing. And then the highs, just want to bring that a little bit. And now I'll call this one new. Rename. This is low and high boost. So now when you're listening,
Celebrate our differences.
You can kind of A/B.
Voices falling wide about my mind, an echoing time of print left behind. England's formed a rhyme.
Cool. On my headphones, this low high boost is pretty awesome sounding. I'm obviously going to listen a little bit more. And maybe what I'll do is on this one, if I want to change that, I can just go ahead and drop that a little bit because it's a lot to bring up 5 dB. Essentially in the mastering phase, your mix should already sound almost like you want it. You're just kind of doing a last final tweak, changing things by a dB, maybe 3 dB at certain frequencies, but very minor. If you're doing larger things, you might want to go back into your mixing phase outside of your master chain. So if I want to resave this new setting, I just click on this camera right here, boom, and that right there changes this to where when I go back to it again, right, my bass is smaller. So let's just go ahead and listen to that.
It's fine, I'm calming now. Celebrate our differences. Voices falling wide about my mind, an echoing time of print left behind.
All right, so it's definitely making a difference, these two going back and forth. And like I said, you can also do an A/B of it being on or off, right?
It's fine, I'm calming
This is it off.
Celebrate our differences. Voices falling wide about my mind, an echoing time of print left behind.
So it's definitely sounding better with the wide and warm on. Now, one thing that I'm kind of feeling concerned about is how wide each of these cue points are. What I mean by cue points is each time we have our bass and our mid and our highs here, when I increase them or decrease them, look how wide that is, right? 50 hertz or 36 hertz all the way to, 7.5 kilohertz is being affected. So if I ever want to change that cue point, it's right here, right? So I can change that cue point down, right? You can also add in extra points to kind of fine tune this. So this is something that I would really do is do more fine-tuned cue points. What I often do is change this 0.71, which is really wide, and I just go ahead and go 6, 6, 6, 6. So essentially what I'm doing is every time that I turn one on, it's going to be at that 6 point. And it looks like this is our high boost. No. All right. So let's go ahead and listen to this one more time.
It's fine, I'm calming now. Celebrate our differences.
I'm going to increase this. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit while I talk to you guys. You guys can hear me talk very clearly over this mix. But as I'm working on this, right, these macros are actually making it to where it's kind of difficult to kind of find out this frequency unless I know how to move it, right? So here's our frequency sweep. It's saying 500 is our lowest mid and 2.5 is our highest, okay? That's a setting you can find. You right click, edit MIDI mapping, or edit macros. Edit macros. Let's go in here and change our edit macro map. And here's our mid frequency. Now see how it's set to 500 to 2.5. I want to make this a little bit lower. Okay, this is where our customizations start coming in and bringing this up to, let's say, 4,000. Okay, so this is giving me a little bit more room to do 350 down here. So now, when I get out of my macros, and now when I move this, notice how far it goes. It goes all the way down to 350 and up to 4,000. So my mids are a little bit more extended, right? It's almost getting into the bass territory. Now, another macro that has been set is how much this dB can change. It says 10 on its top end. So this, let's go ahead and bring that to its full 15, and this down to -5. How about? Okay. The important thing about understanding these macros is that now when I change this knob, right, it actually goes negative on me, right? And our cue point, which doesn't have any macro on it yet, is set to 6. We can even make it a little bit wider by just going 5. But now what I'm going to do is, as I'm listening to the track, I'm going to be moving this back and forth with our mid frequency sweep.
It's fine, I'm calming now. Celebrate our differences. Boils us falling wine about my mind. An echoing time of bring left behind. England's forming rhyme. Reading out the time. Let us please be kind.
So I've actually found some overtones here that I'm not sure if I want to boost or decrease, but they are kind of, they're prevalent in either way. So I'll do the decrease.
It's fine, I'm calming now. Celebrate our differences. Boils us falling wine.
All right.
An echoing time of bring.
So notice how that's a pretty small movement, right? I'm just dropping a little bit of this frequency, right? Not sure if you guys heard that sweep, but it's just subtle change that I was just kind of moving back and forth and heard that just one little area. So you can utilize all of these 8 to kind of like create your custom mastering. Now, let's go ahead and kind of just figure this out a little bit. Here is our low end. Number 1, we can turn it on or off.
It's fine, I'm calming now. Celebrate our differences. Boils us falling wine about my mind. An echoing time of bring left behind. England's forming rhyme. Reading out the time. Let us please be kind as history rewrites. Celebrate our differences. Fine, I'm calming now. Celebrate
All right.
our differences.
So one thing that's really important is that when you do a full sweep like this should entirely just get rid of the track. And the reason why it didn't is because I have my returns still turned on. And they're sending out signal as well. So this is another reason why you don't want to mix and master on the same chain. You want to actually bounce this down, 100% mix is done, and now you just go into mastering phase and make it really simple. Okay. So let's go ahead and start our saving of what we've done here. So we have about a 2 dB. Let's just make this exactly 2 dB bass boost. And it's pretty wide. And let's go ahead and we have a little bit of a high boost, about 0.59. Let's make that 1 dB.
Celebrate our differences.
Let's do a few more before I save this.
Pour ourselves falling wine about my mind. An echoing time of print
Cool.
left behind.
I'm not hearing this change enough, so I really want to get into a full mastering mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as, press this button function right here. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. All right. So this right here, really important feature. When you press this, it goes into saving mode. Okay. You click it and it goes right into your user library. Now this is wide and warm for the specific common ground song. Okay, I'm just going to put that in there. And just to find that really quickly, I'm going to right click and put that into my custom racks. Okay. Because we have a couple instruments or effects in here, and it's going to be the rack, right? This is our master macro rack that's created with some variations. Now let's go ahead. Oh, we should probably save this first. Our low end has changed. We'll click on that and resave this. All right. So it automatically created a new one. That's fine. Custom rack. And I just take this one out. I'll clear all from there. All right. So we have our custom rack here. What I want to do now is go ahead and get into the details of this.
Moon in the west sky.
Just the ending part. Make sure it has it out.
Feel the strength and the power of the left side. Better no sword throws, love's mysterious. A water and a star coming right through us.
Excuse me. All right, so that's our out right there. Command R, I'm going to end this by Command R, renaming that end. So when I zoom out, I can easily see my start and end points. And let's go ahead and just give myself a little bit more visibility. So we have our start there, scroll across, and our end point. I'm pressing the shift function and going over. It doesn't matter which track you're actually on. And what I'm going to do right now is on our master channel, take off everything on purpose. I'm going to bounce this all as a mix. Okay, so we're in mixing phase. Let's go ahead and make that smaller. And we have our full track. Command Shift R. And we're now going to render this. I believe some of these tracks are actually at 48 and some are at 44.1. So for that sake, I'm just going to render this at 48 so that nothing kind of gets dumbed down in sample rate. Landia. And I'm not going to normalize. I'm just going to have this mix as is. I'm going to export this. Really important now, this is the organizational side, that you put this in the folder that you really want to. This was done in a collaboration with Lorenzo, and we had this collaboration folder going on, so I might as well put it right here. I'm going to select this whole title and say Common Ground Mix. I believe 13 is the number we're on right now. 13 with low light, JA Oz. Okay, so we've all done some work on this. And I'm going to go ahead and press save. and that's going to render out. And it's saying audio at 48 hertz, which is what we want. And so this will just take a little bit. As this bounces down, I can talk to you guys a little bit about our next phase here, just how we saved our rack, our master chain of what we were working on with our 2 snapshots, right? We're going to start saving specific instrument presets. Okay, this is going to save you a lot of time in your mixing time. And then also we're going to save our mastering chain, just like what we did before. Okay, our mastering chain is going to get more dialed, especially on this next listen, because we're going to really get into having a specific template in Ableton that we're going to create and then save as a specific template to bring other songs into and just instantly go into mastering mode with the things that we really like. I haven't got into the VST plugins yet, but there is Ozone that really works out really well. So we're going to get into that soon. So here we are. Thanks for everybody for joining us. We are going live currently on multiple channels, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. If you guys want to get some more free content, please check out our playlist. It's at our YouTube, our SF Garnish YouTube, and it's also on our Garnish Music Network page. So check out that on Google. We'd love to hear from you. We have also our Tuesday Beer and Beats meetup, which is kind of a fun meetup. So now that we did this, I can just go ahead and get into a new live set, and we will save this before closing. So we have our rendered mixed track of everything from our original Oz mix, adding in Lorenzo Lowlight and some extra instruments I just did earlier this morning. And here is a setup that it's kind of complex, but this is an example of how my main default is actually a specific template that I've created for live looping, DJing, etc. I have everything in my all channel to kind of clean it up. But instead of doing this right now, we are going to create a brand new track, Command T, and just deleting everything here. Okay. So this is if like you had a template default, a default template, and it just is too confusing for what you want to do, such as mastering. You can easily just get out of it and create a new one channel right here. And bringing over our wide and warm, dropping that into our master chain, not our individual. Okay, so that's on there. Pressing tab, we're going into taking this EQ out. That'll drop down right there. I'm now in arrangement view, and I'm going to tab over to my drive. And you have to remember where you put it, which pretty important, the organizational side of things here. And there it is. That's the wave we just created, 77.8 megabytes. That's the right size. If it's looking smaller than that, you're going to have some issues. Like if it's around that 3 megabyte, you're realizing that you might have rendered an MP3, which is possible. You can do that. I like to just do quick MP3 render sometimes to do a listen, a quick listen of a mix, but never in mastering mode like this. So here we are, this one track. Notice how the levels, if I expand this out, right, there's a lot of room here. And if this was a mastered track and I brought it in, it's not going to show this extra room. It's going to be normalized. It's going to be brought up to the highest level it can be, right? Matching, the other tracks on SoundCloud and Spotify that you hear. And now we have on our master chain all of the work that we did. It doesn't have that initial EQ. It does have, let's see, DJ rack. Okay, so I see. I had a bunch of stuff on here that is for the DJing. So let's go ahead and just get down to the nitty gritty here. Bonk, bonk. All right. So we just have our mastering on here. Now this is why you want to start saving your templates. And we're going to do this in just a moment. Okay. This is to be able to have a really clear mixing template, a really clear mastering template. I generally don't have a mixing template, but I think a mastering template like this could really help out for this specific phase of finalizing a track. Now here we are, listening in again. Notice how on our chain, nothing is being sent to our returns. Okay. Our returns here, if I expand that out, this is set up for our mixing, right? It has our different reverbs and delays that we really like. Some panned, our wide reverb, 3.5 millisecond reverb, 3.5 second, I should say. And so when I change effects on here like this, it has more of an effect, right? All right. So let's go ahead and come back in and do one more EQ at the very end. This is just the basic EQ that we were talking about. All right. So this is a pretty clean way, right? If there's any frequency that you really just don't want there, you can always put this and it completely cuts it out. Okay. So we're going to purposely put this just completely at 0. We're going to minimize this. Definitely hearing that increase, right? Just doing some drastic movement to really make sure it's engaging, right? So this is a preset that we can actually put in here and even add in this EQ per se. If you select all, Command G, and instantly everything is in this nice cozy little rack here. Okay. So we have our wide and warm plus our EQ at the very end. Okay, and this is our mastering chain. Exact same thing happens again. We even have our macros in here. A special feature with Ableton 11 is that you can change your macros just to be super simple, right? So here we are where our macros could literally just be one thing. What shall our macro be? Let's just say we have at the very end of our chain, let's put a utility and just put a gain at the very end. This is probably unnecessary, but this is essentially teaching you how to map a macro. So right click on whatever knob you want, which is this gain output, and you say macro 1. And then you go back and now your gain down up to 35. Increasing the gain of everything, essentially. All right, so this is kind of a customized rack that we just did. We can go ahead and save this just as an example. This is going to be master rack, common ground O2, JA02. I put my initial here just so I can kind of organize where it came from. Right click on it, put it on our master racks. Okay. And what's nice is that when we go back to our master racks here, rack customs, that's one of our collections, preset areas, that I can kind of see that our older one is here. I can go ahead and just clear that. It's nice to keep it nice and organized. So when I come back to this again, it's gone. Okay. And the one that we have in here, master rack, common ground, JA02, is in there. So now this is a preset that you can drop into your master channel on any track. And this essentially is our way to start mastering this. Okay, so that's within the box of Ableton, right? So outside of the box of Ableton, which is still inside the box, but it's using a VST, is going into our plugins folder, which you will only have things in here if you've purchased some VSTs or have them, however you got them. We're going to go into Isotope here. And let's try out Neutron Elements. This is dropping it into our master chain. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one, which we know we have saved, so we haven't lost our work. See how cozy this looks right down here in the bottom left? That is showing our Neutron Elements. And bringing this down from my other screen so you guys can see it. Now this should look familiar. This is a mastering chain using Ozone. Okay, and there's a bunch of presets in here. There's a bunch of additional things that we can add in here. So let's go ahead and listen in and work on this. I do like how subtle this dB gain is, right? If I lift it up, I'm only going up by a dB. All right, so your width of your imaging. The visual here is really nice. This is why some plugins for mastering really can help out. Doing an AV, kind of drastic movements can help out for a while there. Make sure you know what's going on. Now we're dropping the ceiling here, right? Our threshold down to match the song here. Quite engaging just yet until later on in the song. You can see it as this pushes down. Notice you can turn it on and off, A/B. Really important to do, right? Settings here. So notice how I can't even talk over this anymore because it's just increased so much. Mostly our maximizer has done the most of this work. As you can see, I can turn it on and off. Right? Bring it to a track over here. Before. That's kind of cool. On this threshold, when it's -14, I just pressed 14 and it knew that I'm just changing it by a little bit of dB instead of popping it way up here. So there's a couple smart things around this specific Ozone 9 Elements Master. Now, this is part of a package. I'm not sure if it's still around. I think through June, you can get all these different plugins through, I believe it was Waves or Isotope. You got all of this for $49. Normally, this would cost for Ozone 9 Elements like $500 just for this portion, up to $1,500 for the whole thing. So look out for those deals out there. There's often sales like that you should really take advantage of when they come around, where you can, save. I literally saved, I think, $1,400, I think, when I did this a couple months ago to get this. Now, let's just listen in a little more and
Race through your eyes, hold my right side, help me to high side, open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right, help me feel weak, love is a myth.
all right, so I'm thinking everything is coming through pretty clear here. Now, this is another thing that we can make sure that we, mastering assistance, presets. Dun, dun, dun. Let's go ahead, new preset. Dun. So just like what we did before, so this is master common ground, JA. Just like that, we have our preset for master common ground, and anytime that we have a new song come in, we can throw in the Ozone 9 preset of this and then start tweaking it out depending on the new song that we have. We get to save in our comment zone here, and you can put anything you want. What did I do here? So maximizer is intense. So just a little note, so that we might want to turn that down based on another mix. So having these little notes for yourself or coworkers can really help out. So we have our common ground. Now we have our all-purpose mastering. We can drop this down and let's just try some of these presets, right? So right away, look at this. Here's an example. You can learn a lot from what the other presets are doing, right? The ceiling has changed, the threshold has changed. Let's just listen to what that did with our mix.
Race through your eyes, hold my right side, help me to high side, open wide
So-
to the water, beyond wrong and right.
Can probably bring my dB up here.
Love is a mystery, the water and star coming right through me. Celebrate our differences, find our common ground. Celebrate our differences, find
Clear these out by clicking on them.
Celebrate our differences, find our common ground. Celebrate our differences. Morsels falling wine.
So that's definitely now the threshold. Since I dropped it, it's really crunching it, and we're hearing some distortion. This is what you want to stay clear of in your mastering or mixing phase.
Help me to high side.
Always watching these
Wide in the
levels.
water, beyond wrong and right. Help me feel.
So essentially, you're seeing your low points and your high points here, and we're getting to, almost nominal. Nominal is going to be at that 0 dB point, the closest to, if this wave ever came out to this edge and did not peak, you would see that happen. The visual of this is really helpful. This is how I did my whole last album with Honey of the Heart, called Dive. We were using Ozone 9 with Oz, and we really, the visuals and being able to add in new effects here was really helpful. So I would really encourage you to learn how to read these gain structures, right? So as it's playing, it's going to show you how close to nominal, that 0 that you're getting right there.
Help me to high side. Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right. Help me feel weak. Love is a mystery. The water and star
visual, right here of when that, drops out, right? Using it compresses it. You can also have a different visual here.
Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right. Help me feel weak. Love is a mystery. The water and
All right, so going back in here to our presets, let's go ahead and close that out and just double click in here. Actually, you just got to click it once, honestly, and listen back to what we did have.
help me to hide a side. Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right.
Very clear. Now I'm noticing I like this a lot, what I'm doing, but it's maybe a little bit too punchy in that maybe 3 to 4K range.
Help me to hide a side. Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right. Help me feel weak. Love is a mystery. The water and the star coming right through me. Celebrate our differences. Find our common ground. Our differences. Find our common ground. Celebrate our differences. Voices falling wide about my mind. An echoing time of print left behind. England's formed a rhyme to read another time. Let us please be kind as history rewrite.
So the same thing happens, right? I'm tightening my cue point to really have more control over which frequencies.
Help me to hide a side. Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right. Help me feel weak. Love is a mystery. The water and the star coming right through me. Celebrate our differences. Find our common ground. Celebrate our differences. Find our common ground. Celebrate our differences. Find our common ground. Celebrate our differences.
This visual right here is kind of nice because you can kind of see the specific gain, right? Your frequency and also your cue point, which is how that kind of triangle or how wide it is. Sometimes it almost looks like an oval or circle if it's a very small cue. All right, so dropping a little bit of the vocal range here. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit wider.
Help me to hide a side. Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right. Help me feel weak. Love is a mystery. The water and the star coming right through me. Celebrate our differences. Find our common ground. Celebrate our differences.
Very subtle on top, just getting that kind of that glitter on top. So let's see here. We can change our band, right? Make it a bell and just really bring in.
Help me to hide a side. Open wide in the water, beyond wrong and right.
Okay, so there we have it. And what we can do as well is in our mastering chain right here, we want to save it. There it is. So that's showing that some changes were made, and then we just saved it there. So there you have it. Saving presets in your master chain, knowing where they are is really helpful. Okay, so Ozone 9 Elements isn't quite inside our custom racks yet. So our effects, let's go ahead and put that into our effects. All right, just getting kind of busy in here. You don't want to have too much in your collection. So I would really encourage you to kind of minimize what you put in here and how. But it is very helpful to have these organized. I have drums, my rack custom, keys, instruments, bass, and effects. The reason why I have keys and bass on their own is because I really want those clearly stated, and instruments can be, everything from orchestra to a bunch of stuff. So there you have it. It is 12:05, and we normally go until 12. It went a little bit longer today. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. This is Justin from West Coast Wednesdays. We do this every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. here at SF Garnish Music Production. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our music network at Garnish Music Network. Please like and subscribe to wherever you're seeing us. Please share and let us know what you want help on and where you are in your music. We have our year-round audio and video studio in North Oakland and worldwide online, and our boutique studios. There's 8 locations worldwide. And when you're part of our academy, you can actually travel and go to our other locations and sit in on classes for free. So I don't know how many different schools has that. We've been working with Ableton Live 11 today. We also teach in Logic, Pro Tools, FL Studios, in mixing and mastering and sound design. We always start with our digital audio workstation, right? Today we're in Ableton. Our DAW is Ableton. So thanks again, and we look forward to hearing from you. My name's Justin from SF Garnish Music Production. I'm out.